Welcome to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Sit back, pour yourself a pint, and let's get into it. Now here's the founder of the Brewmasters Club and your host, Donnie Gallagher.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Brewmasters Club podcast. This is the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club. This is called Geek News and Craft Brews, or backwards, Craft Brews and Geek News. I don't know what it's called, but we're here to bring you some national stories about beer, local flavors, favorite geeky nuggets from the last week and a half or so. And who better to talk about all this great content except for the four of us? It would be myself, Donnie Gallagher from the Brewmasters Club. We have Mr. Ryan Roberts. How are you today, sir?
Doing very well, guys. Glad to be here.
Excellent. And Mr. Nick coming from Lakeland. How are you, sir?
Doing well. Checking in well.
Fantastic. Last but not least, we have Mr. Mirt. Dane, how are you?
I'm doing well, guys. What's going on?
Good. Well, just another week, guys, as you're all well aware. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off and get straight into it. The first kind of story that we have, I spent some time talking with the guys this weekend, of course, about some different stories. But the first beer story that we found that was actually sent to me from a friend of mine. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's actually started about 9 months ago. There was a brewery set to open in Ybor City here in Tampa that was a blend of two really cool things. It was, of course, craft beer and bands. It was a $2 million project that transformed one of Ybor. And if you're not familiar with Ybor, it's Tampa's most historic hipster district. So it's really a cool place to hang out if you like cigars and you like craft beer and great nightlife. But this particular project, again, was $2 million. It was a 120-year-old building that was transformed to be this giant, if you're familiar with Hard Rock or House of Blues, kind of similar thing where it's got that real rustic feel, but it's still very cool, very hip, very modern. It's about 10,000 square foot, and it's located right downtown in Ybor on 1901 North 15th Street. So it officially will open here very soon, but they're actually now just kind of getting all the permitting in line and things like that. Guys, I brought this up because y'all know Ybor pretty well. Ybor is known for being that kind of hipster area. It's got music, it's got culture, it's got a lot of great things. Dane, what do you think about bringing a place to this kind of scale to downtown Ybor, where it's got these bands and these brews, and it's really not just a craft brewery, but it's more of a music venue, a music destination? I don't know how you are into concerts, but do you have any thoughts about having a blending a brewery and a band house like that?
I think it'll be good. It kind of reminds me of a House of Blues.
That's exactly what I was saying. Yeah.
And Myrtle Beach or something. So I think it's a cool thing. Ybor, Ybor is a mixture of different things. Living there in Tampa, I've been there maybe 3 times, and the first time it was okay, and then the second time it got a little scarier, and then the third time it was like, what am I doing here?
Have you gotten stabbed yet, though?
I've never got stabbed by a hobo or anything, so we're good there. But for Ybor, I think it's good because people are at Ybor at all times. Yep. So it's a good spot. It's a cool venue, I think, and it's something that I would definitely check out.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a cool spot. It'd be a great venue. That's all I'm thinking too is House of Blues, because I go to the House of Blues in Orlando all the time. I've seen countless bands there. Man, that is just the best place to see a concert. So if they can just scrape off a little bit of that, I think it would really bring a lot to that area, a lot to Ybor. I just think it'd be really fun. Nick, I know you don't have a ton of time that you spend in Ybor, but what do you think about something like this?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. I've not spent a ton of time in Ybor. Those kind of places just really kind of aren't for me. Not really big into the music scene, and I could if they could just if they get rid of the music scene, then it's just a bar. So that doesn't really work here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess they need something like that, like they need more parking. So, I mean.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, did you have any thoughts about that? I mean, again, it's kind of a neat blend. I think it's kind of interesting. What do you think about opening up something like that on such a scale? It would be the first time they've got really something that's focused on both bands and, a small craft brewery.
So are we talking about, national acts coming there like what you would have at a House of Blues? Are we talking about local bands or state bands, not what type of bands are we talking about? I guess I need to kind of get that picture in my head. before we start talking about that,
So like a House of Blues is a nationally syndicated, kind of venue like this. But what I would imagine is going to come here is any mix between what hits the amphitheater, they're right there off 75, and then Skipper Smokehouse. So I would assume that, on the off weekends or whatever, it'll be smaller acts, sure. But I wouldn't be surprised that the names they dropped in this article were 311, Sublime with Rome. I mean, some of the bigger acts that from that grungy kind of pop rock or whatever, it could really vary. So I don't think it would be anything out of the question to get a bigger act there.
See, now that I like the idea, because it can really not only draw a crowd for, the bands and things of that nature, but also expose a lot of people to craft beer if they've not been exposed to craft beer, or get people to come out. Because one thing that I find when I go to a bar and it's not a craft brewery or something like that, it's really hard to find a craft beer, because not a lot of places sell them, because they're still sticking to like what sells most of, and also watch the music. So I think blending the two worlds together, getting people to come for more than one reason, is a really good thing to have a really good experience. So if they can find a way to also take the culture on that's down there in Ybor and turn it into a more, I wouldn't say family oriented, but just a better culture at late at night, and get more people to come down there, that would be a win as well. So I'm all for it. I hope it works.
Yeah, well, like you kind of hinted on, the culture that they have there at Ybor is already very music centric. It's very music heavy. They've got a ton of different bands and things that go on there, and a lot of those are indie or kind of punk stuff right now, just because of the culture. But I think Ybor is the perfect place for something like this, and I think it's really ripe for the taking in terms of a new venue like this coming in that can really make people feel like that grungy kind of House of Blues feel. So I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be very cool.
Definitely. Let's go there when it opens.
Yeah, we'll go see a show. I would love to see 311, man. I haven't seen them in concert in a long time.
Donnie, I think you touched on it a little bit. A lot of country stars that play at the big venue, at the amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
After the show, they'll play like a smaller show at the Roundup room or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And I'm thinking, big names, once this place starts rolling, I think the bigger names, after they play it at the big venue, I think that's a spot they would hit for like the late night feel. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome, I think.
I think so too. And maybe when you're down, maybe we'll catch a show. Cause like I said, anybody, I'm sure that they're going to go loud and proud with this, cause it's a pretty substantial investment. But again, with Ybor being right there to the refurbishment of downtown Tampa, man, I don't know where that line's going to stop. And this kind of goes into the greater economic development of downtown Tampa. Like where will that line be drawn? I'm not sure, but you've got all that money coming in there. You've got Mosey moving downtown. All this kind of stuff is just going to bring nothing but bucks to Tampa. So
wait, Mosey's moving downtown?
Yeah, that's where they're moving right into Channel Side. Last I heard, that's what the plans are.
What?
But again, it all the backbone of all of that is that Riverwalk Park that basically bridges the gap between that Channel Side area all the way up to that, if you remember the port where it is, and all the way kind of to the north to where the Selman starts and crap, that's Ybor. So I mean, that's where I think that whole revitalization place is going to be. So it's going to be an exciting time the next 5, 8 years. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it'd be cool. So do you guys have any final comments, Nick? You got anything on that?
No, unfortunately not. Like I said, I don't spend enough time down there. I think something like that would be cool. I mean, right now I think the closest thing we have is either like a crappy little bar, or perhaps somebody firing up Guitar Hero with all their craft beer friends. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not as good for stabbing though. Not when you do it like that.
I mean, it's better if we could bring our entire families to go get stabbed down there. So.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
Awful. No one gets stabbed at Children's Parade. It's during the day, for Pete's sake.
Got little tiny knives.
No, jeez. All right, we're gonna. So to move on to the next story that I have, this is going to be a little bit more dry, I guess. But what I came across, again, this was given to me from a friend of mine, was the Brewers break. So it was how the craft beverage modernization is happening across the United States here, and eventually the world, of course. But it's basically about tax reform and the way that this may ease or add to the burden of compliance in terms of craft breweries. basically, it's just a bunch of stats and figures. I thought they were pretty interesting to hear and to talk about. And so I just want to kind of relay those over to you guys. And then if you have thoughts or anything that you want to chat about with it, I welcome it. Picking up with the end of 2015, there are 4,100 breweries in the United States. That is amazing. First off, it's the highest number that we've had in the history of the nation. So that narrowly beats a record dating as far back over 100 years to 1873, when nearly every neighborhood had its own brewery. Now, why was that? Because you couldn't go to a 7-Eleven or a Publix and pick up a 6-pack of your favorite beer from Chicago or Colorado or South Tampa. You had to literally brew it yourself, or else you were just, effed. So it didn't really matter where you got it from, as long as you could walk down the street and get another one. The next kind of stat that we had is that the Brewers Association, which is basically a craft beer trade organization, announced that the U.S. had surpassed 4,600 breweries for the first time in history. Now, that is since that record that was set in 2015. So there's even more breweries now that were there just about a year ago. So fast forward to today, the numbers just keep growing, and the independent brewery industry has over 175 plus brewery companies that produce between 15,000 and 6 million barrels of beer every year. I mean, just think about how much beer that is. Could anyone honestly fathom 6 million barrels of beer? I would feel like Scrooge McDuck at that point, just swimming in a giant vat of beer.
Crazy. That's a lot of beer.
That's a shitload of beer. Comprised of that is over 2,400 microbreweries that produce less than 15,000 barrels per beer each. And then you've got 1,600 brew pubs that sell more than 25% of their own beer on site. So it's all these kind of different breakdowns. But the interesting part of this is that this tax reform would kind of give little breaks to these guys that would just kind of fuel their economic growth and their sustainability, because as we've all talked about, over time and over the last few years, beer has brought this immense economic growth to anywhere it touches. So if it's the state of Florida, which we celebrate with Florida Craft Beer Day, if it's the nation, if it's Colorado, no matter where it is, these independent and small breweries are employing 120,000 full-time and part-time employees, generating well over $3 billion in wages. So it's just fantastic. It's just a fantastic time to be in beer. And all of these breweries and wages and salaries and jobs and commerce is creating $2.3 billion in taxes, just in taxes annually. So, hats off, or big hand to craft beer for just doing its part. But this act should do a lot of cool things for the little guys specifically. It'll make life a little bit easier. So any domestic, we talked about this last episode, I think, what makes a brewery craft brewery, what makes it a microbrewery, what makes it, whatever. This new regulation, this new regulation would relate to each brewery that produces less than 2 million barrels of beer a year would pay $3.5 on the first 60,000 barrels of beer. So that is literally cut in half from what the current tax rate is. So could you imagine like a Craft Life or a Big Storm, which is currently in that kind of wheelhouse? What would a half? And Ryan, again, I'll look to you as the business guy. What would a half tax break, a half, cut, what would that mean for your business if you could literally cut your expense for this piece of it in half?
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing that much or producing that much, less than 2 million barrels, I mean, even a small place like that, it's going to create extra revenue for that business. It could mean that those $5 beers that we were having that night stay at $5. I mean, anytime a business can get some sort of break in what they have to pay out before the consumers actually, or us, the consumers, the drinkers, can, even get a taste, it makes them feel more empowered. As a business owner, you feel better about what you're doing because you're not looking at cost all the time. I mean, you're still looking at cost, you have to, but it takes a little bit of that pressure away in that sense, in that frame of mind. So, that's nearly half. So, yeah. That is half. So, I think that's a good thing. I hope it really helps, and I hope it passes. So,
Well, think about it like this, and this is just using the data. And then, Nick, I'm sorry, I'll go to you in a second. Based off 2014 and the data that was gathered there, that's an estimated $37.5 million per year. So that is all that extra income, that they can spend, that we can spend, that the brewers can spend, that these guys that are working there can spend. I mean, it's just extra bucks. But Laos, did you have a comment on that, man?
Lager powered delivery trucks.
So the beer pipeline wasn't enough for you.
No, we would take those extra barrels and we would funnel them into some sort of gasifier, and from there we'd have all of the delivery trucks running on beer. What I honestly think would be they'd have a little bit more budget for some silly things like perhaps some more gimmicky type stuff. I mean, I think that'd be great. They'd be able to further the brand. Even if they just maintained where they're at right now in terms of production wise, they'd at least be able to do some of the other things that some of the bigger breweries can do. So I think it'd be great. Really develop their business.
Yeah, no, it would certainly be helpful. So I think that's fantastic, and I'm just excited to see what will happen there. Dane, did you have any thoughts on a tax cut like that? I mean, how much value that would bring? I mean, we always talk about this stuff. I just wonder, what are the possibilities of something like that?
Yeah, I mean, to put in perspective, I think the numbers are right now $7 for the first 60,000.
Right.
So if you do the math, that's what, $420,000 that they would have to invest in just barrels alone. If you cut that in half, what's that? $210,000. With $200,000, there's so many more things business would be able to do. It's uncanny.
And that's what it is. It's on that first batch. So like those are the days when you need those extra pennies,
Yeah. So if you know that, hey, we got a short amount of money we can use for these first 60,000, the heck out.
Yeah. Right.
Get them done. Spend the money on producing better beer. Better beer, better business.
Yeah.
So I'm all for it. Anytime the small guy can, get another penny or whatever, I'm all for it.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's great. You get extra income. You can hire better brewers. You get more passionate staff. You get a better product. You get a better following. You do better for the economy. You do better for yourself. You do better for the community and those around you. It's a no-brainer. So,
and that goes with every small business there is, not just in breweries, but
it's no pattern that's unique to beer. It's just that beer is the one product that you can taste the difference. You can hold two widgets in your hand. One might be made of different material, but when you actually have a beer in your hand, you can taste if it's better than the other one. And that's where I think the difference is.
So I mean, hopefully not going too much further down the list here, but for the craft breweries that are producing more than 2 million, are we going to get to that, or can I go ahead and bring this up because I have a thought process? So I don't know how many there are out there, but what would you say Cigar City does, or like a Tampa Brewing Co? What would you say they end up doing a year? What do you think? I
really don't know. I want to say it was over 1 million barrels, but I couldn't tell you with any honesty because it's been a while since I did their tour.
No, that's fine. So I mean, they're pretty big, well-established companies. They're expanding and things like that, and we know Cigar City very well. We talk about that one a lot. So I was just wondering, because it says that the ones that are producing more than 2 million barrels per year are actually getting taxed at $18 a barrel, which on the negative end, it seems to me that they would actually be, well, I guess that's the current rate too, but they would actually be helping offset the reduction in cost for people that are doing less than 2 million. So there's not really much of an incentive to grow beyond that point. And I guess my conclusion that I draw there is if you're a large company like your, Miller and Bud and all that, you're still going to brew more than 2 million barrels a year because you have the ability to. Whereas the craft breweries might say, you know what, we're just going to stick right here down at this level and not really try to compete with those other beer companies. I guess I'm like getting that conclusion kind of drawn there because $18 a barrel compared to $3.50 a barrel is quite a big jump.
Yeah, well, if you could, Dane, while we're talking, if you could look up what Cigar City does produce on an average year, or any brewery that we've talked about in the past. I mean, Sam Adams or Sierra Nevada, our sponsor, anything like that would be great. Just joking. But the idea is that it's kicking up from what was $16 a barrel, above that 60,000 to 18 bucks a barrel. So yes, that is more money. But at that point, I think it's like the and I don't know which politician exactly would have this in their wheelhouse, but it is kind of milking the rich to support the poor at that point, because you're trying to say, hey, Ryan's brewery wants to really jump up their game. Well, that's great. Here's a little incentive. Do that. Once you get to 60,000 to 2 million, if you look at the numbers alone, you're talking peanuts to an elephant. I mean, it's very much different. So I don't think that is a particular threshold that's necessarily going to deter anyone from saying, whoa, let's calm down off the 2 million barrels. But I see what you're saying. It is an increase there. But again, it happens to bring up the little guy. What do they say? When water rises, all ships, I don't know what that is. But
all ships rise. Yeah.
So you got a good nautical reference for that? Come on, man. You're the nope.
Just a beard for it, really.
No, right. When all beards
when the
rise,
toilet gets plugged, the water overflows. I don't know. you see that? I guess that's where I was just thinking, like, what's built into to keep it growing and surpassing everything else that's going on out there. So,
well, from 60 to 2 million in terms of product delivery, I think that's a healthy rate for you to say, okay, listen, if we don't have our shit figured out, then we're not going to be able to survive at the higher rate. So I think that little boost to get you going is going to say, okay, listen, let's really figure out what we're going to produce here. And then they start producing. I think that's how it should be. And I think this is a good way to do it. Now, is it the best way for, the U.S. economy to handle their methods of taxing the rich and giving breaks to the poor? That's not this discussion. But Dane,
not at all.
Did you find any information for us, Dane?
That's a negative.
Negative. Well, we can always
negative. But hey, fun fact: Cigar Brewing is owned by a company that owns Oscar Blues and a couple other breweries. So I think that may put them in a category, just based off who they're owned by, in a category where they probably spend a little bit more money, $1 for the first 60,000.
Well, we talked about their alliance like in literally episode 2. Remember that? Oscar Blues, Cigar City, a couple other guys. He did
Cigar City, Utah.
Yeah, they did that to avoid a deal that was made. That was AB was trying to buy them out, and they said, well, screw it. AB had like 2 days left in their contract. They didn't fulfill it. They didn't sign it. They didn't do anything. And that deal literally expired. The next day, this deal with Oscar kind of came up. And so we've talked about this a couple of times. But either way, it's interesting. And I don't know what their current volumes are, but it still is it's a pretty cool topic. And I thought it was pretty interesting for us to chat about on the show. All right. Anything else on that, guys?
No, I'm good. That was brilliant. So I'm good.
So the last piece I have is an article from the Tampa Bay Business Journal that I found, and it was about the beer drinking habits in Tampa Bay, Florida. This also expands to a little place called Lakeland there, Mr. Lausman. I don't know if you got a chance to check this out, but as you look at the map, it's interactive and it's actually color coordinated. And it's bizarre because where you've got the highest concentration of beer drinkers is right here by my house, of course. But besides that, the surrounding area here in Lando Lakes, and then right in that South Tampa area over to the fancy part where downtown St. Pete is all beet red. So they've drank more than 108 beers per household in the last 6 months. That's why I said I can see my house from here. But that's just on my app. The other thing is, Nick, where in relation to Lakeland are you? Would you say North Lakeland, South Lakeland, East, or West?
Actually, smack dab in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
The middle's a little blue, but your friends in the South there are beet red.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah, it's a little bit more of the there's some restaurants there, some things of that nature, and
and a whole bunch of drunks.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, man. Tuesday's hard for everyone, man.
That's true. Tuesdays are the worst. Well, I just thought, again, this was kind of cool. So when you guys get a minute, check it out. The other kind of cool areas on this, and it's great visual for radio. But basically, the beaches are also a little cherry red, which is interesting, considering that most of our beaches are, you're not supposed to be drinking on them, but it's really the household. So what's really at fault here? I don't think anybody. I think it's just fine. But it was also it's very interesting statistics to look at, and it's a nice little piece. I'll throw it up on the channel, or maybe I'll flash some of the stills for it when we're actually putting this up on YouTube. Guys, anything else in the beer news before we move on to app news, local news, and then what are you drinking? Anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw in this little tidbit.
Yeah, man.
Kind of going back to what we were talking about. Now, this is back in 2012. In 2012, Boston Beer Company, or Sam Adams, they brought in over $580 million in revenue to bring in $664 million in 2013. Now, I don't know their numbers for that. This was kind of a rough estimate. And now that translates to roughly per barrel revenue of $213. So yeah, they're spending $18 per barrel, but they're making $200 off of that. So I think that's pretty good revenue.
Yeah, not bad.
Just put it in perspective.
Yeah,
all the beer lovers out there.
Yeah, well, and when you start breaking down the numbers like that, man, it does get pretty interesting, because it's a shitload of beer moving around, on just how it is.
And that was 3 years ago. So who knows where it's at now.
So, and while you were looking that up, what I just found out was that Cigar City, so they answered that question in 2014. Now, this is 2 years old, and this is before their second brewery, second production line, the second rendition of their canning line. A lot of different stuff has changed since then, but they were putting out 44,000 barrels in 2014. So if you could imagine half the revenue from that going, they could have increased their production, their brewery, their canning line, all this kind of stuff much quicker than they did with a tax break of nearly 50%.
How many thousand was it?
It was 44,000 barrels in 2014, which seems small for being such a large brand. Now with this deal with Oscar Blues and all that stuff, you can only imagine that they're going to exponentially grow. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Summertime, springtime next year, 2017. We circle back and see what these guys are cranking out, and I guarantee it'll be an impressive ass number for sure.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, no, it's great. And that deal itself was valued at $60 million. So good for Cigar City, man. Yeah.
Wow.
So the reason that we're here talking to you guys, and we've already handled this a couple of times, is that we are a crowdsourced, community-driven app that helps shape kind of where you're going in your beer journey, what you're going to eat, what you're going to drink with the food that you already eat, and try to get you out of your comfort zone into something new or something fun. With that being said, we take this kind of segment here called "What Are You Drinking? What Are You Gonna Drink?" And we kind of influence each other to challenge, to try something new, try something different, or at least talk about something that maybe not be new or different, but something that you do love. And why do you love it? So who's got a beer in hand? Ryan, you want to kick us off?
I would love to kick you off tonight. Kick us off, actually. So I'm not a fan of variety packs. Too much. Not a fan of variety packs, but I saw this the other day and I was like, all right, I got to see what Sam Adams is up to these days, and picked it up. A lot of ones that I can't show you because I drank half of them already. Not tonight, but.
I was about to say, were you able to hold off when drinking them all, or no?
Yeah, my two favorites. So I've actually got another one on in the hole. So got the Hoppy Red Ale. Very, very good. Very bold, flavorful. It's got the good red mixed. It's basically a red IPA. You can't get any better than that. Comes in at 5.7%. And then this one, brilliant lager. It's the toasted caramel. Well, actually, Bach. I don't know. Very good. It's got a lot of caramel flavor, or caramel, however you want to say it. It's very flavorful. They also have a maple one as well. So here you go. For all those that can see, if you can't see, go out and buy a box. You'll see it then.
I saw that one. I wasn't sure, like I said before, if it was going to be real mapley or not.
It's got a weird finish, but I mean, for something that's out of the ordinary, I mean, I think that's what makes craft beer. It actually comes off pretty good. And for a lager, which I don't like lager, but I don't like a lot of lagers. I thought it was really good. So definitely got to try that one. Now this one is not your average beer. This is actually a crafted water, and it's from a company called Truly. Comes in at 5%, and this one's with a hint of pomegranate. It's spiked sparkling water, but it's actually a crafted water, so it's actually a handcrafted beer water, however you want to look at it. If you're a health person and you want to try to cut back on some of the higher calorie counts throughout the weeks, this one comes in at 100 calories with only 1 gram of sugar. So, rather than drink a beer, if you want to be a little fresher on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, go and grab one of those. It's really refreshing, but they do go down quickly. So that's what I've got tonight.
That was I think it was like our first episode. I was talking about the hard soda water, whatever that I tried. It was like, it was not Truly though. It was a different brand, but I really liked it. The black cherry one was, really good. It didn't taste like booze at all. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's almost, it's deceptive because you don't think you're drinking anything alcoholic, and then all of a sudden you're too deep and you're like, whoa, what?
Yeah, knocked in your ass. Yeah, that's what happens. Mr. Lousman, what do you got for us?
So today I have a something that I thought it was a little on the rare side. I'm starting to learn that it's not, but I have the Red Hook ESB. Yeah,
a bitter.
Well, it hardly. That's
you surprised me, man.
Well, and I thought I was gonna be in for a little bit of a struggle here because, like you said, it's supposedly very bitter. It's a 100% barley malt, so 5.8% ABV. However, the label kind of threw me off. Like you said, the label reads extra special bitter ale. And quite honestly, I'm not getting that much of a bitter taste from it. So, I mean, you could definitely taste there's a lot more barley than most, which it actually came out pretty good. I really, really did like it. It's a little on the sweeter end of things for me, but and not really that bitter. I think there should be a comma somewhere in the label, just extra special, comma, bitter ale. So, I mean. That's where I'm standing on it, but I mean,
it might be bitter, but it might not.
With a question mark or like a semicolon, I don't know. Just either which way. I think the label's a little misleading, but very delicious. Based out of Seattle, Washington. So
nice,
real good brew.
Very good.
A really good red ale or Red Hook makes a really good red beer. I have yet to try that one, but it looks pretty good. I'll have to try it.
Are you saying that because I'm ginger?
Nope.
Absolutely. All day. It's all about you.
Mr. Dane, did you have anything this evening?
Yeah, so I'm actually watching my calories, and I probably should have had what Ryan's got there.
Grab a Truly.
The sparkling beer. Or
little baby drink.
Yeah, this guy doesn't have any cold beverages in the fridge, unfortunately. But I did succumb to peer pressure for the show. And it not beer. Got some moonshine here. So I know you guys probably saw me take a shot. So probably one more shot and I'll be done. But piggybacking off of Ryan again, he's the man of the show, I guess, for me today. But the Sam Adams variety pack I saw in the grocery store, and I'm going to be picking that up very shortly.
You will absolutely love it.
Absolutely. So looking forward to it.
Good man.
Yeah, well, good. Well, I was just trying to look it up. So, my good friend, with your little old smoky moonshine, it's got about 60 calories per shot there, my man. So, I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, I'm going to be up to 120. It's the apple pie, so I'm sure there's some sugar.
Oh yeah, that's even worse. It's even worse. So who are you kidding? Next time, just grab a beer, dude.
Yeah, no doubt.
What I have today.
No. Grab a Truly.
Stop pushing that crap. what I have today is the Goose IPA. My lovely wife bought me. I came home to a lovely surprise, and she said, "Hey, look, I got you good beer this time," and it's the Goose IPA. So though these guys are, or at least once were, a craft brewery, they are now owned by AB. But that doesn't change the fact that this Chicago born and bred beer, it really is good. It's about 6% alcohol, and it is probably one of my more favorite to go to IPAs, just because it's great. You gotta love the logo. Chet, our good buddies in Chicago. So every time I drink a Goose Island, I always think of Chet. It has 55 IBUs, and it's got about an 86 on Beer Advocate. So I honestly love this beer. It's one of those, Ryan, if you remember, and we'll talk about this in a few weeks, but when we go real deep in IPAs, you get those piney, real citrusy, real floral ones. This one is one of those real piney ones, so it gives you that little bite on your tongue that kind of sticks around for a while. But it's great. It's great with spicy food. It's great with really flavorful dishes. It's good with stuff like that. So I just I love IPAs, and I really do enjoy a nice, consistent beer. And Goose Island, amongst many others, does make a good product. This is just one that I do happen to really enjoy. So tonight I'm drinking the Goose Island. And I'll go back to it always. It's a nice staple. So I don't know if you guys have had that before.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's a great beer.
Top 5 favorite beers right now.
Yeah, Goose Island IPA. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
How much Goose per volume are we talking there?
How many geese per volume?
How many gooses?
Dang geese,
So if it's got a 55 IBU, I can only imagine how many IB Goose. I can't even say it. I just can't even say it. You're killing me, Lance. It's terrible.
Here's something for all of us to look out for too. Another one that Goose makes is they make a Bourbon County, and it comes out every so often. It's a high alcohol beer. If anybody can get their hands on it when it's released, I don't know, or do the research. We should definitely share that on this podcast, because those two combined, they're just incredible. But Goose makes a great IPA, and they make a great Bourbon County as well. Really,
Bourbon County. So what is the actual style of it?
So I'm trying to remember now. I had it when I was working at O'Brien's, and I mean, you definitely get full, rich flavor of that bourbon barrel. It's definitely stout. I mean, we're talking almost
is it like a cask ale, or what is it?
No, they had it in the no. It's just so flavorful and rich, but you can only have one glass. You can't even finish a glass. It's so rich. I'm trying to remember, but it's definitely a stout of sort. It's just incredible. They make a great beer.
Bourbon County brand stout is what it's called.
Yeah. It's probably one of the stoutiest stouts I've ever had.
What a good describing word.
When in stout, I mean, just go for it.
So it's available in winter. It's got about a 13% alcohol by volume, and it literally has a 100% score. So apparently, Ryan, you're not alone in thinking that it's an amazing beer.
It's a hugely awesome beer. So
interesting. Well, we always ask, what are you gonna drink? And I think I just found something I'm gonna drink. So
I'll ask Joe next time I see him if he's gonna get it again this year, and we'll go from O'Brien's. That's what we'll do.
Yeah,
so,
I'm down. I am down anytime. But see, this is what it's all about, man. We all experience different things. It was the Miami beer that Laos had. This style sounds pretty good. Dane securing that sponsorship with Sierra Nevada. I mean, it's what we're all about, dude. So it's really good stuff. Just get that Truly shit out of here. I don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah.
That's good because it's see-through, so.
Yeah, it's worse than
I tell you, man, it's just like pomegranate water, man. That's all it is.
I feel like you could probably ice somebody with that thing.
Oh, no, we're not going back to that.
Man.
Those are terrible days.
I truly don't want to start that again. So that kind of wraps up the discussion about the beer stuff. You guys, I gave each of you a little bit of homework. Did you guys get a chance to tune into the epic, galactic
Interstellar?
Right, okay. piece of geeky news that happened this week. It happened a mere 2 days ago, but it seems like a few light years away.
Oh.
All right, I'm done.
That was truly great.
Shut the fuck. God damn it, Ryan.
It's better than light beers.
See what you did there. Mr. Elon Musk announced his mission, his plans, his detailed agenda on going to Mars, and that happened on the 27th, which was just a few days ago. And man, I hope you guys tune into it. Literally, I watched the entire hour-and-a-half segment, and then I watched the hour-and-a-half Q&A that followed it. So I know probably more than I need to about it, but I'm super stoked about going to Mars. I don't know what it is that I'm so excited about, but hearing this plan, this guy is notorious for having failed timelines and botched rocket launches and landings and whatnot, which is all very exciting. But the fact that he is doing it and is pushing this leg forward is something to be said. Velcro came from the space program. I mean, people don't understand how many different things came from a need of developing what was used to put God-fearing Americans and worldwide individuals into space. People ask me all the time, why do you love space so much? It's not that I love space; it's that you have to love the adventure. You love the reach for it, and the thought that us little tiny specks here on this little rock that's orbiting through the galaxy are only so large, but our reach can be so much larger with thinkers and innovations like this. And they don't only help us to get to the stars and other planets, but they also help us to find ways to solve problems in our everyday lives. So I love it. Did you guys, let's get a roll check. Did you guys go through and actually do your homework? Did anybody look this up? Louse Man's got a yes. Ryan? Yes. Looked it up. Dano? All right. Let's have some good conversation. So I've got the top 5 points out of this. But overall, let me just run through the gamut. Dane, kick us off. What did you think? I mean, first off, Elon is never a good presenter. He stutters, he talks, he has awkward pauses. He points to things that aren't always there, but he's humble and he's honest and he's real. And that's part of his presentation. Being a psychology, kind of PR guy, I understand that. But what do you think, man? Dane, kick us off with the overall presentation.
Yeah, so overall presentation, like you said, the presentation itself, it's hit and miss, which is fine. I felt like there's a lot of information. Wishing, hopeful thinking. Some cool things though. I like that they're trying to bring, let's say you were to go to space. Those rockets stay in space.
Right.
And them trying to bring the rockets back and reuse them, I think it's a cool idea. And I think they should really start with that first. And I know SpaceX is kind of doing that already. And I think they may have been successful once. I'm not sure.
Out of 4 launches, they were successful one time, and that's the most expensive piece. And this is only the 4 that they've tried. Now, this is, say there's 4. 10 years from now, there'll be 100. You know what I mean? But the most expensive piece is firing that one-time shot up there to get out of our atmosphere, and then it's gone, and it never comes back. If his plan was initially, and I don't want to walk down the path of really getting into this until we get into these bullets, but the most expensive piece is acquiring that launch vehicle back and using it again. So we all saw the video where it came and crashed and crashed and crashed. But the 4th time, they barely had enough money to do it, and it landed. And so now we've got a formula that we can execute to make it sustainable. But go ahead, continue on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, so I kind of think back to when Richard Branson from Virgin was like, yeah, we're going to be flying in space. People will be flying in space in 2007. Okay, that's fine. It's 2016 now, and we haven't quite got there. And to me, it's, how many people are involved? How many people want to be involved? You have our small group, Donnie. I know you like the exploration thing about it, but how many people are actually like, yeah, I'm going to Mars?
Yeah.
And the numbers, the amount of money, the things that will go into it, I'm not 100% sure about. There's a lot of information he kind of threw at us. A lot of things about going to Jupiter. It's like, well, let's get to Mars first. Let's do that, and then we can start thinking about freaking Jupiter, which is, how far away. So
yeah.
And another thing is, how long is it going to take to get there? There's a lot of variables. And I'm really not sure. It's cool information. It's cool to think about. It's, you could dream about it. But once it comes time to actually doing it, how old are you? Are you still alive? A lot of things go into it. So, I'm kind of up in the air, optimistic at most.
We see what you did there.
Yeah, we'll see.
Mr. Lossman, what do you got to say about that?
Oh boy. Well, I think it's great. You're 100% correct. The guy does not do a good presentation at all. That was a little brutal, but a huge fan of calling your jet propulsion system there a Raptor because it's just
Big points.
Yeah, big points in terms of dinosaur naming, but I like the ambitious timeline of when how quickly these trips can be to and fro. I really like how he's like you mentioned, he's had 4 launches and 3 failures. He's like, let's just do this a lot more, guys. He's like, over time, he's like, we can get a lot more potential successes. So, I mean, that's all great. There's the Spirit Airlines of space travel sounds really wonderful. If you could just make it super economic and, a lot less reliable. I mean, by the numbers, he's bound to win. But it does sound really, really cool to go to space. I just, I'm not exactly jumping in line there. I think it'll be great to just Skype people.
Well, yeah, of course. I'm sure you'll be able to do that once we get some internet out there in that Mars. I heard the reception's a little shoddy at the moment.
The Wi-Fi.
Mr. Ryan, just give me your top level thoughts, and we can kind of dive into the nitty gritty here.
Yeah, overall presentation, I'm with Lawson and Dane on that, but I kind of went a little bit past the concept of them going and to and fro, and I really liked the idea of the retractable or the part of that rocket that comes back to the ground and takes off again, and really quick too. I think you said within 20 minutes or something like that, which I thought was really cool. But what I focused in on was his idea and the comparison that he made between Earth and Mars, and how close we are, not just in proximity. I think it was like 200 and some odd thousand miles or something, but which, I mean, for some people, we drive that in our cars in like 15 years, so that's not too bad if you really think about it. But the pressure, I think it was like 100 on Earth, like every 100 pounds compared to like every 38 pounds. So like we would be lighter if we lived on there, or if you feel lighter. I thought that was pretty cool. But then he talked a little bit deeper, and he was talking about controlling the atmosphere in certain ways, or like causing or playing on the pressure there, and ultimately over time creating, water and forests and greenery and all these other things, which part of me was like, well, why can't we just let him just take over Earth and do that here and help repair everything that's wrong with the with Earth and whatever. But at the same time, I thought that was like, okay, now I see a picture beyond just growing a city in the middle of Mars. He wants to create an atmosphere. He wants to create a second Earth. And I thought that was where I could maybe buy into the idea, but I don't see that actually happening in my lifetime. So
yeah,
that was my thought process.
So, and that brings up so many different pieces of this thing. But again, looking at it from a high level, I've got a couple different points we can kind of break this down, and everybody's kind of touched on the different ones then. But the idea that I'm a big plan guy, and I feel like my life is an anarchy if I don't have like an absolute plan as to where we're going to go, what we're going to do, and how we're going to do it. And it gives me anxiety, it keeps me up at night, things like that. But when you hear this plan from him, he's not saying, hey, tomorrow we're just going to throw some people in a bus and jet them up there to Mars. He's got a strategic plan, like any good businessman would, ending with the end result of going to Europa and going to the moons of Jupiter and these other places, but using Mars as a hub, or using these, interstellar kind of refueling stations to get us there. So we'll kind of go into that, but I just have to admit that I really love the plan, and I love the determination. I like the pieces that he's putting in line there. So it of course it's it's really outlandish and it's very far away, but at the same time, we're putting pieces in line as early as 2018, 2019, 2020 to get us there. So I think it's very cool. The other cool thing about this guy and the way that he thinks about stuff, keep in mind, Elon Musk is the guy that founded PayPal, right? I mean, so he's all about the volume, and he's always been about the volume. And over time, volume drives down the cost. That's what PayPal was all about. Everybody gives 2%, and I make $1 quadrillion. You know, we make this car company that's electric, sure, because electric batteries are so expensive. And yeah, we can do a great job, but let's make a gigafactory that can make batteries, the same thing for your new car that you're going to buy from me, but at this much cost, because we're pumping out 100,000 of them every month or whatever it may be. I mean, this guy's got a lead foot, and I just really think it's an interesting concept because he really feels that over time, volume will do that. And how do you get to that volume? How do you achieve that? It's ultimately through mass production and finding ways to get around it. So it's very interesting. But on the flip side, just on the way back to the house today from work, I was listening to a podcast from D News Plus, and I don't know if you guys listen to that. It's actually a high school buddy of mine who speaks on that podcast. And Lyle, so you might remember the Dominguez family. But Trace is Brock's brother. Trace is actually the spokesperson or the main host of the D News podcast. And I was just listening to his latest one today, and it was about it was not the latest thing. It was a week old or so, but it was about evacuating Earth and when we need to do that and how that plan has to come into to play. And so there's two pieces of this. The first one is Elon's quote from that presentation, and this is what it is, quote unquote. It was basically, history is going to go along two different directions. One path is that we stay on Earth forever, and eventually, over time, there will be an eventual extinction event. The other alternative is that we become a multi-planet species. So there's those two schools of thought where we have two different angles of approach. But at the end of the day, what has been already designated by thousands of scientific professionals, including, Mr. Hawking, we are going to hit capacity where can only be so many people on Earth for whatever reason that may be. Now, is that stability or what it may be for food or for real estate? It's one thing, but we're already at 7.1 billion people. If we hit the 9 billion to 10 billion people mark, which we're expected to do well before 2050, we will be at capacity. What happens then? And that's going to happen, my friends, in our lifetime. That is only 20, 30 years from now. What do you think we should do? We have to go outside, right? I mean, we physically have to go outside of our own planet. And we're going to do that before any of us die.
Yeah,
Appreciate your confidence in me.
I think him beginning this plan and using the resources he has and the money he has. I mean, the guy's worth like $12 billion. So
yeah,
for him
right.
to put it towards something that's important to humanity, I think it's a cool thing. I'm gonna say one more thing. Now, with there's something called the Outer Space Treaty. It prohibits anyone from appropriating territory in space, which means under the current law, SpaceX's Martian colonists would be space pirates. So I'm all about being a space pirate. So
I'm all about space pirates. Sign me up. I love regular pirates. I can't wait to be a space pirate.
And it's really like, who has law for space? It's a little ridiculous.
You know what? At one point in time, we had to decide who owned the oceans and who owned the the Americas and who owned everything. So it's just another way to get there. But it should be, and this is literally the last bullet point. But I'll just jump ahead. One of his final statements is that the entire world needs to be involved. He expected, or in his presentation, he stated that we needed about 1 million people to move to Mars to create a long-term civilization plan. 1 million people. They will all not be from the United States. I guarantee you that. They will be from, a plethora of different areas, because SpaceX is not the only organization aiming for Mars. There's several at the moment, hundreds soon, and thousands, 10, 20 years from now. So, NASA's doing this. The U.S. Space Agency is hoping to send people to Mars by the 2030s. Personally, with the privatization of this kind of an effort, I think it'll be a lot faster than that. But I mean, yeah, man, it's definitely going to have to be a worldwide thing that happens. Just
Right.
wrapping your mind around that, Ron.
Yeah, it's just so huge. It's just, I'm like thinking, and I'm like, man, just the thought, the idea that we could even do something like that. I mean, not to go too deep, but I'm going to go back a couple thousand years, and back when they used to think the world was flat, and then they built boats and they soared out beyond further than they'd ever been. And then, you get to where now we're globally connected with electronics and the internet and satellite, and now we're looking and talking about going to Mars. I mean, physically building a civilization on Mars. It's overwhelming. It's incredible. And I just wonder if they're going to have any craft beer. So.
Well, let's do our part to be part of that craft beer movement, not only for the United States, not only for the ecosystem of the Earth, but for a global and worldwide and galactic community. Can we vow to that the Brewmasters Club is the first one to vow to commit a member of our guild or sector here to the global and galactic improvement of craft beer throughout the galaxy? I think we should do that. We should make an initiative right now.
And
right here, right now, I am part of that pact.
And
right
we accept donations. It's very expensive to go to space. So expensive. So expensive that at the moment it would cost you about $10 billion per person to get to Mars. Musk said that he'd like to see that number. Well, he said he'd like to see that number plummet to well under $200,000. They're about the cost of a home, nowadays here. And it's not that people are going to hitch a ride on the giant, Dragon X or the next spaceship from SpaceX, but those who can afford the cost may, and there's plenty of people that can be in to do that. And all we need is a couple people here, a couple of people there. To really get something like a civilization, moving and to make us interplanetary. His direct quote is actually that, quote, not everyone will want to go to Mars. In fact, I think a relatively small number of people from Earth would want to go, but enough would want to go, and enough could afford the trip to go that it could happen. And this all, hinges on the rockets being reusable. So it's a cool time, man. It's a very cool time. In the same pocket as those rockets being reusable, we already mentioned how most of them are discarded when things go into space. But again, the new rockets that we're developing here through SpaceX, they're going to be fully reusable. So there's two pieces of it. Basically, one that sends a tanker out to space in the upper atmosphere of the planet, and then we have that same one that brings it there, comes back down, loads up with people, then shoots off again, goes into space, gets refilled, and then takes off to Mars. If he could do that, bring those boosters back, fill them back up, send them back, it could be a constant supply chain of just sending people there every, so often as far as they could. And that would be what we need to get a sustainable community on there. So that's kind of what his plan was. And he's planning to start very soon. In fact, it was as early as 2018 to get the first uncrewed mission to Mars, and then subsequent missions, after that. And it was a very rough timeline. But in the timeline that Musk provided in his speech, people would start flying via SpaceX by 2024. And then eventually the company, long term, said there'd be 1,000 spaceships in there in the upper atmosphere that are waiting to take people to Earth, each one with 100 to 200 people, heading off to Mars. And that could, take as little as 40 to 100 years to really actually colonize Mars as a new Earth. So it's just crazy, man. But I just thought that was really relevant, and because it just happened a few days ago. Did y'all have any thoughts on that? Dane, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'm just touching on one thing that Ryan said. I'm really glad. Well, Ryan said, if this guy's got these type of plans for Mars, what could he do with Earth? I'm really glad he's not in control of Earth, because I'm pretty sure he'd be slingshotting the Bahamas all over the place, and only one of those islands is going to land safely at this point in time.
Yeah, right. If we had 4.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I think that's pretty cool, man. 100 up there would be. It's pretty neat to see some movies come true, in our lifetime. bunch of spaceships flying around out there. As long as we don't run into space bugs, I think we'll be all right.
You want to see Alien come true or Martian? Which one?
I don't want to see Alien. I don't want to see Alien come true at all, ever.
No.
Mission to Mars. How about that one?
I'd rather see
Good movie, by the way.
Interstellar come true because just watching Matthew McConaughey push all those books off the wall would be pretty funny all the time. Messing people.
As a dad, that was one of the saddest movies I've ever seen in my life. We bawled our eyes out here on the couch, man. Dan, you had that baby.
Never gonna see her again.
Dane, you have that baby of yours, and you watch that movie, you will cry too. You'll be like, "Oh my God, why would I ever want to go to space?"
Yeah, I'm just gonna watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm gonna watch.
Well, so that brings up a totally different argument, but again, it was part of that D+. I'm telling you, that D+ podcast is really good from Discovery, and Trace was talking about time travel and that aspect. And so I don't know if you guys have ever thought about it, but we have all these satellites that are kind of rotating around Earth, and they keep our GPS in, right? So you can find where the local ramen place is, or how to get to your fastest way around traffic to your job. Well, every one of those satellites every day is 0.00015 time, in terms of seconds, moving faster than we are here on Earth. So we move at a slower rate than they do in space. So then every day those clocks have to get basically reset to the Earth time to make sure that they are, still on par with what we've got going on. Multiply that times something that may be orbiting around the sun, or something that's so much larger. The spacemen, the astronauts that we send up into space, there was a gentleman, Kelly, Commander Kelly, that was just up there for a whole year. His twin brother was down here on Earth, and when he came back, he was 0.01 seconds older than his twin brother. So that relates me back to the interstellar conversation, where if we become these masters of the universe, that we have these spacecraft that are out there and they're able to go into, interstellar space, where we're talking past our local solar system. Just imagine what we could do when we start to understand the dynamics of that time flux, and really doing some of those outlandish things that Matthew McConaughey did in that movie. I mean, it's pretty neat that you could honestly fathom that. Now, we know nothing about that now, but just imagine if we could. The sky's the limit.
I bet Kelly is doing a lot of cutsies in front of his brother now that he's slightly older.
I almost want to just think about, trying to, bypass colonization of Mars for a second, but how far can we reach out there? How far can we send something out there? I think that, like, with people on it, I think that would be a cooler thing to add to this whole discussion. And like you said, using Mars as an outpost, maybe that would be a good deal too.
We'd have to have gas stations everywhere. We'd have to have fueling stations. We'd have to have one on Jupiter and Neptune, and keep going. We'd have to.
I mean, maybe this is the start of something really incredible, and maybe a couple hundred years from now, far past our lifetimes, we'll see. Well, we won't see everything unfold, but if we start moving in that direction now, I mean, it is incredibly awesome to think about. It's freaking awesome.
I just want my Millennium Falcon right now.
Yeah.
Why can't I jump to hyperspace?
You're gonna have to wait till your next life to get that one there, buddy.
Dane, you look like you're pondering something. Yeah.
Donnie, we're just waiting for you, entrepreneur extraordinaire, to come up with the next PayPal, so you can make $12 billion. So we can you can just build your own damn Millennium Falcon, and I'll be your crew, man. I'll be your first mate. What's up?
It's on Chewy.
Can I drive?
Yeah, no, it's a very cool time, and it's a neat time to be alive and around with this kind of stuff, thinking about it, even just talking about it. So, I mean, we could literally go on for hours, and I have, buckets more that we could talk about, but it is neat. And Ryan, to your point, I think it's the Voyager who is literally within the next year or so will be leaving our solar system and be into the heading towards the next one, which happens to be, light years and light years away. But we launched that bad boy in the 70s, and it's still trucking faster than it ever has, reporting back to us as much as it can. as much information as it can. And it is now on the opposite side of Pluto, the old planet, from now. So just imagine, give it 10 years, man. If that thing's still firing, the shit that we'll see from that, it'll blow your mind. But yeah, it's insane, man. So like I said, we can get in that for hours, but I think we've already ran up our time here. So it was pretty detailed stuff. I mean, that was pretty lengthy combo, guys. Sorry for that one.
It's all good. It's all good stuff, man.
It's just a good conversation, boys.
Yeah, it was just that was so timely. It was so relevant and so close to us, and it's all stuff that I love talking about. So why tune in next week? Well, there's some stuff coming up. I don't know if you guys saw it. I went to I got a VIP session with the PlayStation 4 Ocean Descent VR experience. I know he talked to you guys about that on the text, but man, check it out. If you want to try it out for yourself, head into a Best Buy between now and January, and you can actually try it out. Sit down, put on the VR headset. It is really awe-inspiring, but I challenge you, if you do get a chance to really explore it, reach around, talk about it, kind of lean over, really explore the scenario, because it is amazing. It's very immersive with the sound and the way they have it set up. It is a very unique experience, and you don't have to do anything with your hands, so you have plenty of room to drink a beer if they let you do that in the store. But we actually we had my experience is actually up on our YouTube channel right now, so please take a look. Leave us a comment in there. We'd love to start some dialogue about that. What you think about that? What you think about VR? If you've done the Oculus thing, I've played a couple different games on that PlayStation 4 VR. I'm really stoked for it. It's going to make me get a PlayStation and a VR, I'm sure. But if you get a chance to do it, try it out. This podcast will be up here shortly, but we also have my Disney Star Wars experience from a couple weeks ago, so we will get that up as well. And then always, give us a shout out if you can on social media. You can reach me at the Brewmasters Club on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Also Instagram. So please, we'll accept anything. If you want to contribute some content to the show, it's hashtag Brewmasters Club Cast. We'd love to take your questions, like take your comments, what you want us to talk about, things like that. Guys, did you have any further comments before we give our final sign-offs? Anything at all?
Good to go.
Solid. Well, Dane, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on the Twitterverse.
Excellent. Mr. Lousman, where can they find you, sir?
They can find me at Mr. Lousman.
Excellent. And Rye Guy.
You guys can find me on Twitter at BrewedBoy813, and look forward to some questions, and I'll respond to them. Don't worry. I've not had one yet, so it'll be easy to find you.
Oh, right. Well, I know your Twitter handle is pretty new, so people are probably just trying to figure out if you're a bot or not.
If I'm a real person.
Yeah. Well, please do give us a follow, give us a like. If you're listening to us on SoundCloud, thank you. We appreciate you guys. I think last I checked, we had about 55 followers on SoundCloud. We're such a very new podcast, so we just really love you guys. You're the best. If you're following us on on Apple or Google Play, give us a like, throw us a review, be honest about what you find out, and if we can improve what we're talking about, our content, or our pieces of discussion, we'd love to. But we are always about the community-driven piece, and that's what funds and fuels us. So we appreciate you guys. If you have the ability to, and you shop on Amazon, click the link below. Somehow the wizards at Amazon give us a few bucks every time somebody buys something and ships it through our link below. So please, you don't have to give us any money. Just do your Amazon shopping and click the link below. We love you guys. Have a great night, everybody. Drink some beer, drink local, and have a good one.
You've been listening to the official podcast of the Brewmasters Club, Craft Brews and Geek News. Grab a beer with the guys and be sure to subscribe to catch additional content. Add this podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. Chat with the guys on Twitter at Brewmasters Club and Facebook and online at www.brewmasters.club. Cheers!